y'all, so here we have a homemade or scavenged two-stroke leak down tester for any type of carburetor that has a spigot on it. You can use in this case it's 1.5 inches. This will be for anything like a Yamaha Blaster, Yamaha Banshee, RD. Older, smaller two-strokes usually have this size, and this is 1.5 inches. You can, on any scooters, mopeds with spigots, usually with the Delorto or smaller Mikuni carburetors, they use the 3/4 PVC piping, and it's a little bit big, but a little bit big is fine, it'll seal better. Now, with this, you have 2 valve stems. One of them, which is connected to the gauge here, has the Schrader removed. The other side still has the Schrader, and that's going to connect to our hand pump. This is just a regular bicycle hand pump. These little tiny guys are nice because they don't have too high of a threshold. Like I found some of the larger foot pumps and taller hand pumps were not as effective at getting low PSI, because on a two-stroke we're only really trying to get 6 to 7 pounds in there to test it. So very important that you have a bike pump that will pump even less than 5 pounds of pressure. Now let's say you don't have a carburetor that has a spigot on it. That's okay. You can also go in through the spark plug. This is the adapter for a compression tester with the Schrader removed. That's important. And it goes into a T. One T will go into the pressure gauge, as it is on the spigot type adapter I've made here. The other side will go into a hose, and at the end of that hose, a valve stem. I cut this off of a tube just because it had more length. It was easier to cut off. Actually, all I had to do was rip it out of the tube and hit it on a grinding wheel to get the back off. Really easy. Also effective. Slightly different process though when you are testing a leak down from the cylinder as opposed to the intake. These are all reed type motors, so the process isn't terribly different. In fact, you could use the method or the technique used with the cylinder head leak down as the intake leak down, and we'll get into that later or possibly in another video. Alright, so our adapter just slides into our carburetor intake boot, like so. Easy enough. And once it's in place, go ahead and tighten it down just as you would a carburetor. Alright, now that that is attached and secure, it should seal. If it doesn't, we'll know as we do the leak down test. Alright, and then for the exhaust plate, I just took the exhaust, put it on paper plate, and traced it with a Sharpie. We're going to cut this out and transfer it over to metal. Alright, so when making a plate to block the exhaust on anything that has a flange, so if the cylinder has a flange instead of a spigot, you need to make a plate to block it off. Besides the plate, you're also going to need a section of tube. This will be the gasket, and it doesn't really matter what ply it is, just any tube you might have lying around. If it is a spigot type, something like this Polaris here, you're going to need an expansion plug to go in there. And just about any expansion plug or any auto parts store will have an expansion plug that will fit just about any exhaust If not, the hardware store definitely will. So, anyways, back to the project at hand. We have the exhaust handy right here, and all we need to do is make sure that these holes line up with the grooves on the exhaust, and then it should fit on the cylinder, which they do. Nice, very nice. And from here, all we gotta do is put everything on the bike and perform the actual leak down.